Network. Hello. Hello.
Hello, I'm with you. I just want to see, we are just waiting to see, okay, you are attending the class, now I'm attending the class. Let's just wait. It is by 10 minutes after one we start. So let's
Okay,
see how
sir.
many people we have in the class. Yeah.
Okay.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni. Gbèsílẹ̀ náà.
My habit to you down. Ẹ kúkú rí pé mi jẹun púpọ̀ lánàá. Ẹ jẹun nǹkan tó kù. Wọ́n ti bẹ́ẹ̀ jẹun.
bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni àwọn tó lọ fún láti rí lè.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. No, I almost decided not to come to class today. I just thought of it because I saw what individuals posted on the platform that I said we are going to have the class by 7. But you didn't know who said you'd be having class by 7.
Sir, it's not you, sir. I meant, sir. Good afternoon, sir. It's not you, sir. It's somebody else, sir.
You responded to, because I was the first person who posted the course schedule. Even before the post of the second lecture. It was my lecture that was posted for. And you said, I said we'll be meeting by 7. I said, I will never tell you I'll be meeting by 7 with you. And different posts on the platform that people that want to go for independence should go for. I never told you you'll be having class by 7 this morning.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, madam.
Yes, sir. I was the one that told you that it was your class, but it wasn't your class. Another class, sir. Emma Binu, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we try what we can do to see if we can end this class today. Just what we want to do. We started looking at theory. That was right now. Was it yesterday? We started looking at theory on Sunday. We talk about social learning theory. We explain that. We also look at social system theory. We also look at psychosocial development theory, which has to do with development of human beings from age 0, according to Erik Erikson, which said that there are 8 stages in every human's life, you know. And if you look at what Erik Erikson said, the first thing he talked about was trust versus mistrust. Everything you see there, all the 8 talk about what an opposite. Erik Erikson look at trust against mistrust, autonomy versus shame and doubt, initiative versus guilt, industry versus inferiority, identity versus confusion, intimacy versus isolation, generativity versus stagnation, integrity versus despair. And like I said the first stage of human life ends with stage 4. Then from age 18 to age 65 and above, that is when you begin stage 5 to stage 8. And there are things you ought to have done, there are things you should have done, even from that stage 5 to stage 8. Some people, they live their life in regret, in despair. That is the last stage, because things they ought to have done, they did not do it. And in their old age, please mute your mic, everybody. Mute your mic, please.
Okay, don't go far. No, I never go far.
If you have gone far, you can leave the class.
The one boy.
Look at this woman now.
They have.
Madam, you are want to mute your mic. What's wrong? Like I was saying, that from age 0 to age 18, thereabout, is when you have the first 4 stages. Talking about trust, mistrust, autonomy versus shame and doubt, initiative versus guilt, and the 4th one is industry versus inferiority. Although one is building on the other, if the first one is faulty, definitely the second one will not grow well. If a child suffers mistrust, definitely the issue of autonomy and shame will come in. And what the child is going to have in stage 2 is shame and doubt, because he has no trust in people around him or her at that stage. Then we go to guilt, initiative versus guilt, industry versus inferiority. Then the next 2 stages, the next second half is from stage 5 to stage 8. That talks about psychosocial development theory. And the next one we want to look at is psychodynamic theory. psychodynamic theory, which talked about consciousness and unconsciousness. Consciousness and unconsciousness. And what are we talking about here? We are talking about when we become conscious of the environment in which we are. You know, according to Sigmund Freud, here is talking about the ego, the id, and the superego. The first one there is the id. The second one there is ego. And the last stage there is the superego. Each stage is the stage at which we are the child is an infant. There is nothing you can tell that child. That child doesn't understand grammar. Those of you who are parents, who are mothers, you understand better. There's no English you can tell an infant that he or she will understand. That is at the id stage, psychodynamic theory. The id stage from infant, anyway, let's put an infant. Then when you come to ego, that is at around age 3, you can tell that child, no, wait, don't go there, sit down there. You get it? Then the superego is the stage, maybe 5, 6, 7, when the child knows the expectation of the society. So that simply means every human being is bound to pass through these 3 stages. You get it? When you know the expectation of the society. If you look at the psychosocial development theory, it's also talking about development, different levels of development. And same thing is what Sigmund Freud is telling us in psychodynamic theory, talking about the id, the ego, and the superego. When you become conscious of your environment, then the preceding stage is the stage of unconsciousness. When you are unconscious of your environment, a child will just go out, stark naked, he cares nothing, nobody is watching, nobody is looking. Well, by the time that child is growing up, she begins to cover a private part, or she begins to cover his private part. That means that child is now getting to know the expectation of the society. Even when people are in the sitting room, your child can just come from the bedroom like that. But your child of 8, 9, 10 will not do that. 10, 11, 12 will not do that. You get it? That means that child is becoming conscious of the environment. He's conscious of the expectation of the society. Are we together? That child is conscious. Yes. So that child becomes conscious. So the psychodynamic theory was developed by Sigmund Freud, who is often considered the founder of psychoanalysis. The idea behind the theory is that the conscious and unconscious mind has an effect on how people behave and act. If you're unconscious, at that stage we're talking about, you do as you like. Even people around you will not even frown face. They will not frown at you because you are at the level of your unconsciousness. Some of these forces are driven by biology or by human nature. When you talk about the level of id, which is the level of most unconsciousness, it is the child is being driven by biology. The child is hungry. The child wants somebody to carry him or her. There's nothing you can tell that child. So some of these forces are driven by biology or human nature, like the tendency to seek gratification. Like a child wants to get gratified anytime. You get it? So they want satisfaction at every time. They cannot delay their gratification. They cannot delay their satisfaction. They cannot. Other driving forces come from specific situations, such as early childhood experiences. The experience you have, a child has, you can see this, it can be linked to the previous one we talked about, which is the psychosocial development theory. So what experience that child has during early childhood can also determine what that child will become. I'm telling you, a child that was, sexually abused will be afraid of men. A male child that was sexually abused will be afraid of women. We may want to ask a child, why is it that I don't want to get married? If you dig deep, you know that child, Motorola, please mute your mic. Everybody mute your mic. What's all this? iPhone, mute your mic. So when you see a child behaving in a particular way, you may need to dig deep to know why that child is behaving the way she's behaving. She might have been molested while growing up. Somebody might have done something to her and she has made up her mind, no, I'm not going to get married. You need to know why that child made that decision that he or she is not going to get married. Because of what has happened to her. Like I said, this can be as a result of what? Early childhood experience. This can be as a result of early childhood experience. The social work theory of human behavior may be helpful in understanding internal processes that shape personality. Then the next theory here is social esteem theory. Social esteem theory. The social esteem theory was developed by sociologist George Homan. Social esteem, nothing goes for nothing. Theory suggests that every relationship a person has is based on cost and benefit. Nothing goes for nothing. Social exchange. What am I going to get? What am I going to get? So you might be thinking that why that girl fell into that trap was as a result. You can use social esteem theory to explain why a lady fell into a trap and she was raped. Because she was expecting reward. Because she believed that she would be giving money. You get it? So it is based on cost-benefit analysis. In other words, everyone evaluates the reward of a relationship and weigh them against any cost or risk. When the potential for reward seems high, people tend to keep the relationship. It's not only, even if you are relating with somebody, student and student, if you know that those people who are working with you, those who are always around you, their relationship is what we call symbiotic relationship. Like I always tell my students, you didn't come to school with anybody. Know the kind of relationship you fall into. Don't join parasitic relationship. When you're into a parasitic relationship, it is only the parasite that is benefiting. It will just benefit on the host, and the host will be left like that without gaining anything. So always look for symbiotic relationship, whereby the host will benefit and the parasite will benefit. It is not a one-way affair. So you get it. Even as a student, if you know you are the only one that always come to class and divulge, other people will not add. Look for other people that will be sharing ideas together. I always tell my students, look for somebody be sharing ideas together. So always look for symbiotic relationship, not a parasitic relationship. You get it? So that is just that, talking about esteem theory. When the potential for reward seems high, people tend to keep the relationship. When the potential for reward seems low, people tend to leave. The social esteem theory may be used to help understand how clients function within their relationship. I hope you understand that social esteem theory.
Yes,
so the next one that look alike is rational choice theory. There's nothing they will tell you. You said, that is the way I want to do it. You might not see what I'm saying. Rational, believe that what you are saying is the right thing. Even when they are telling you there is fire inside, though, it is a rational choice. It happens to many young people, and I was one. Oh, I thought what I was doing is right. You can use that to explain why a child misbehaved, why he's regretting. He thought what he or she was doing was the right thing. That was the rational choice taken. Rational choice theory suggests that every decision is rational from the perspective of the decision maker. You are always right. Even when the whole world is saying, hey, that's my mind. Nothing will happen. I've thought of it. This is because humans naturally weigh the cost, risk, and reward of every decision before they take them, even if it may not be apparent to onlookers. Rational choice theory shows that every decision someone makes is supported by thought and reasoning. Do we understand rational choice theory? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. How is theory applied in social work? Now, the application is what we are talking about. You must understand all the theories. You know, the other time we are talking about that it is not that theories are not available, but applying the right theory to the right issue is what is important. And we said we can have multi-dimensional theory even when we are handling cases. In addition to social work theory, there are practice models. You know, I told us last week that, okay, on Sunday, that we have theory. Somebody asked a question. I said, don't worry, we still have other theories and we have models. I said theories are abstract, while models are practical steps that we are taking to solve a particular issue or an intervention. These are roadmaps that help social workers apply social work theories into their daily work. Now, these are practical aspects when you talk about model. There are multiple practice models that are common within social work, each one providing a different approach for understanding behavior, resolving issues, and improving outcomes. Your line of work and what you are trying to accomplish may determine which social work model you are most frequently you use most frequently. For example, some practice models focus on goal setting, while other models are focused on the connection between emotions and action. Together, social work theories and models function as valuable tools for putting theory into action, practicalizing it. Since each client's problem, motivations, and issues are unique, no single practice method works for every situation. As a social worker, you may need to assess the client's individual need to determine which approach is most likely to provide a positive outcomes rather. We have 6 practice model in social work. We'll be looking at 6 models. We have looked about, how many theories did we look at now? I think about 8 theories. No, sorry. We look about, let me see again. How many theories did we look at? We have social learning theories, system theories, social development theories. We also look at psychodynamic theory, social explain theory. That's about 7, if I'm not wrong.
Sir.
Is that what?
Between
we consider
6 and 7.
7 theories. Now we'll be considering 6 models. Social work practice models enable social workers to implement theories in their day-to-day work. Just like a social worker may use various theories to guide their intervention, social workers may also use various practice models depending on the problems their clients encounter. So we have what we call cognitive behavioral therapy. Like I said, there are practical steps. We have cognitive behavioral therapy. We have crisis intervention models. We have narrative therapy. We have problem-solving model. We have solution-focused therapy. We have task-center practice. You get it? These are the models. Then when we talk about problem-solving, there are steps. I think I intentionally removed that from this material. Okay, it's still there. 6-step problem-solving model. It is a model, but it has 6 steps. Okay, God permits us to be able to look at it. It is a model, but it has 3 steps to follow for you to carry it out. We get there, don't worry. We see if we can get there. So today, no problem. At least we can. So let's continue from the first one there, the first model we talked about. That is cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy focuses on how thought and feelings influence behavior, which can sometimes lead to psychological problems. Thoughts and feelings. So I thought, cognitive behavioral therapy. Like we said, this behavioral therapy focuses on how thought and feelings influence behaviors, which can sometimes lead to psychological problems. Social workers using cognitive behavioral therapy method help clients identify self-destructive thoughts that influence negative emotions and behavior. My good God. Smith. Cognitive behavioral therapy is often used for individuals who are experiencing mental health issues, mental illness, or depression resulting from crisis or trauma. Social workers using cognitive behavioral therapy help their clients eliminate negative thoughts to prevent destructive behaviors and adverse outcomes. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay, fine. The next one is crisis intervention model. This is when people are in serious crisis. The crisis intervention model is used for clients who are experiencing crisis and trauma, such as victims of domestic violence, or for clients who require intervention to prevent physical harm or suicide. Albert R. Robert, PhD, and Alan J. Ortins, PhD, developed a 7-stage crisis intervention model. The first thing you do in this intervention model, take a psychosocial and lethality assessment. We take assessment first, psychosocial and lethality assessment. Then followed by rapidly establish rapport. Very, very key. You establish rapport with that client because you need to get information from that client. So make yourself accessible. You know, you create a good rapport with the client. You get it. Then the next stage is identify the major crisis cause or causes. This is talking about crisis intervention model. You can see a rape victim, especially if they are children, if they are still young, you will see the way they be behaving. They will see man, they begin to cry. Or if it's a woman that you know defy the boy, you will see a lady or woman, she'll be crying, she'll be running. So you need to first of all take the psychosocial and leadership assessment. How far has it gone? You do your assessment first. Then you establish rapport. Rapidly establish rapport with the client. Then number 3, identify the major crisis cause or causes. Number 4, enable the client to express their feelings and emotion. How many of you know that cry is a therapy?
It's a therapy, yeah.
You know that?
Yes,
So if you have a client in your office and the client begins to cry, don't say, why are you crying now? You're a baby. You should know better. It's a therapy. The more they are crying, the more they are releasing the pain. So enable the client to express their feelings and emotion. Number 5, generate and explore safe alternative for coping. Number 6, create an action plan. Number 7, follow up after the intervention. Don't carry the first stage and put it for second. You have to follow these steps or 7 stages in crisis intervention model. Do we understand this?
Yes, sir.
Hello. Okay, fine. I wanted to hear that. The social work model, this social work model can be used for clients who are experiencing thought of suicide or self-harm, or who have undergone an acute crisis like rape or violence. Then number 3, we are talking about models now, not theory. The number 3 is narrative therapy. You help the client to change their story. Let them forget about the past. Let them have a new beginning. Some people, their narrative is what is affecting them. Narrative therapy is the process of helping and the individual recognize that they have the power to change their life story, also known as a narrative. Narrative therapy helps individuals realize that they are separate from their problem and can fix them when they view the narrative from an outside perspective. Using narrative therapy, a social worker can help an individual create a new narrative with different positive action. If you do this and this, your story can change. You can help individual create a new narrative with different positive action. And again, the client must be ready to follow the step-by-step guidance you are going to give the person. Step-by-step guidelines you are going to give. The social workers enable the individual to understand how the broader context is contributing to their narrative, so that they can be aware of pitfalls to avoid and can utilize various strategies to tackle their problem. You can't just sit down on the spot and continue to cry. Let them realize that the past has gone, but if we can take these new steps, we can have a new narrative. You can have a better narrative than what you have experienced. And these are the pitfalls you need to avoid. Then you must always follow up to see if that client is following the step-by-steps for him or her to change his narrative. That is talking about narrative therapy. Are we still together?
Yes,
hello?
Sir.
Okay,
yes,
fine.
Sir.
Okay, fine. The next one here is problem-solving model. Like I told you, it is a C-stage or C-steps problem-solving model. I'm not breaking it here. I'm not blowing it here. Just for you to know that it's one of the models. Then we come back to it later. We treat it as whole from one step to the other. The problem-solving model was created by Ellen Harris Pellman, a social worker and author of Workers' Health. A social worker and author of Social Case Work, a problem-solving process. That is the title of the book. Using the problem-solving model, a social worker helps an individual identify a problem, create an action plan to solve it, and implement the solution. Together, the social worker and the individual discuss the effectiveness of the problem-solving strategy and adjust it as necessary. The problem-solving model enables the social worker and the individual to focus on one concrete problem at a time. And you work with your client. Listen, you don't enforce your client. Social worker, you only suggest to your client. You don't enforce anything on your client as a social worker. But by the time you present all the alternatives to your client, you let them realize which one is going to work. Which one, you explain the side effect of each of them to your client. If you take A, this is what will happen. This is what, if you take B, let them choose by themselves. You don't choose for your client. But let them realize what is embedded in each of them. You cannot force your client to do one thing or the other. Because if it later backfired, he or she will tell the world that you said I should do it. You get my point? So if you look at that problem-solving model. There is a particular state, that of the 6, where you are going to look for so many alternatives, so many solutions. You get it? Then from there, you will pick one. With your client, you will explain all the solutions to your client and let him pick or let her pick after you might have identified all of them and tell him the pro and the cons of each of them. So that is talking about problem-solving model. It's a 6-step model. Do we understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Then the next one here is solution-focused therapy. Solution-focused therapy. Solution-focused therapy involves the social worker and the client identifying a problem and creating a solution based on the individual's strength. You can have 2 clients having the same problem or the same problem, but you are not going to give them the same model. Why? Because you need to understand the strength of your client. Some of them are so emotional, so you need to understand that. You need to understand the strength of your client. It's not the physical strength we are talking about now, although that one is part of it. But you need to understand the strength of, oh my good God, you are disturbing. A yoko goodness. You are disturbing. Mute your mind. So we are talking about solution-focused therapy. Like I said, you need to work together with your client to identify a problem and creating a solution based on the individual strength. You need to know the strength of your client. It's the short-term practice model that focuses on helping clients cope with challenges using specific behavior. Instead of focusing on changing who a client is. Solution-focused therapy attempts to change a client's action in certain situations to achieve more favorable outcomes. Here, you are not changing your client. Rather, solution-focused therapy attempts to change client's action. It is not the client to change, but the action of your client in certain situations to achieve more favorable outcome. Collaborating to create solution allows the client to play an active role. Your client, you must collaborate with your client. Don't do it alone. Don't just suggest to your client. Collaborate, I said it before, collaborating to create solution allows the client to play an active role in implementing necessary action and achieving positive change. Do you understand solution-focused therapy?
Yes, sir.
Madam, you are the only one talking. I don't know if other people understood.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we do.
Okay,
Yes,
fine.
sir.
Then the next one is task-centered practice. Task-centered practice. Using task-centered practice, a social worker breaks down a solution into manageable tasks, which your client must complete before the next time. You must, be serious with it. You must face the task. You don't have any other business with your client. Because if the task is not followed as your client should, then you will be a failure. Your client will turn to somebody who doesn't know what he or she is doing. So you must be firm with your client. So using task-centered practice, a social worker breaks down a solution into manageable tasks. Yet we have identified the problem together. And we have also identified, we've concluded on a solution together. Now, what the social worker does is to break down the solution into manageable tasks. The individual has deadline to complete the task and agree to meet them. That's why it's called task. He must agree with you. When we are meeting next week, you must have finished this task. When we are meeting the next 2 weeks, you must agree on when that task will be completed. Task center practice is a goal-setting form of social work that help individuals make consistent steps towards improving their lives. Instead of focusing on the past, this type of practice encourages clients to live in the present and think about how completing certain tasks will positively impact their future. Do we understand that? Ogala Patricia, please mute your mic. Do you understand tax center? Hello, who was talking?
Adejumo.
Okay, madam, I'm hearing you.
Yes, sir. This tax-centered practice,
yes, ma'am,
is more or less related to the solution-focused based therapy. Sir, what is the difference between both of them?
You know, I said something now, even before I started talking about the tax center practice. I said you must have agreed on the solution. You get it?
Okay.
And you now break that solution into task.
Okay. Okay.
So if you are going for solution focused therapy, it then means that you will still end with tax center practice. Because if you have a solution at hand, it may not be a one-time. That solution could be a one-time. You get it? Okay. That you will not have to break into tasks. But there are some solutions that you have to break into tasks. And you give deadline to your client. That's why I said you need to be firm with your client. Not that he meets you your next meeting, your next day of what's it called now? Meeting. He said, I'm sorry. No, you have to be firm because you will be a failure. You, the social worker, you are a failure. He or she won't tell the world that she was the one that did not, complete her task or his task. So you may have a one-time solution. You may have a lengthy solution that you have to break into tasks. Are we together, madam?
Okay, sir. So people who are facing the problem of addiction, can we use this type of
definitely, you know that will never be a one-time solution. Definitely, it's going to be, you will break it into tasks. So you are going to have tax center practice for such person.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
As that you raise up your hand, though.
Yes, sir. So you said something about
Diane will pay you as you raise her up. That's why I call you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So you said about the solution-focused therapy that sometimes you might have two cases that are alike, but you need to know how to apply it. So can you give an example of that so that we can have clarity?
No, I was talking about the strength of your claim.
Yes, sir. Give an example, sir.
Yeah, you must know you must know what your clients can handle. For example, as you are in this class now, your strength differs. If I tell somebody that somebody died, though, somebody will be rolling on the floor. Hey! And if I tell somebody in the class that somebody has like, oh my God, and that's all. Do you have the same strength?
No.
Do you have the same emotional strength?
No, sir. No, sir.
So you must understand the strength of your client. That's the point we are making. It is based on the strength of your client. We are only talking about the emotional strength. There are other strengths we talk about. Even physical strength is part of it. You must know the strength of your client before you can, get a solution therapy for that person. Are we together?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
No problem. So we talk about task-centered therapy. Oh my God. Okay, let's just jump this. It is just the same thing. I should have removed it. Still talking about the same thing. The only thing that is different here is follow-up. Okay, that's another crisis. It's still the same thing here. Now, let's look at that 6-step problem-solving model. We have looked at all the models, but we want to look at this problem-solving model. It is scientific in nature. And it is like a cycle. Once you start from one, you end, and you still go back to the first one. It's like a cycle. That's why it's called problem-solving model. Yeah, let's go. A problem, when we are looking at problem-solving model, we just want to look at what is a problem. What is a problem? A problem is very important for researchers. Do you know the prayer of one person is a cause for another man? Like some people will say, may we continue to have problems in the society. I could remember one day I was going with a big brother, you know, and as we two of us were going together, and people were fighting. I said, why are people just standing watching these people instead of to separate them? The brother told me, why will they separate them? How will they take them to police station? How will I get money as a lawyer? How will I stand for case? You can see, if you are saying, may God not let us have problem, it's not a prayer of lawyer. Is it true?
Yes, sir.
And your prayer, Father, may we not fall sick. You know, you are causing doctors and nurses. If you have a family member who is selling coffin and you are praying that may we not die, you want that man to die of hunger. Is it true? You can see when they are leaving the house in the morning, Oluwa, please bring sales. What is that man selling? Coffin. What is he saying? That people should die. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
one man's prayer is another man's cause. That's why I'm sorry. You need to get close to your God. So the prayer of those people will not fulfill in your own life. Because, for example, if a coffin seller is a child of God and is paying his tax, he's paying his tithe, God will answer his prayer. But your own is that it will not be answered in your own life. A doctor who is a child of God, who is praying, Olua, bring sales, that is, people should fall sick. That's it. So here we said problem is very important for researchers. Because if there's no problem, we won't have anything to write. We won't research. We won't publish paper. So you can see, if some people are saying they will not have problem, they are causing researchers. So problem is very important for researchers. Problem is very important for social scientists. Problem is very important for pathologists. As different sicknesses, different diseases are coming up, pathologists are rejoicing. Hey, we will sleep in the lab. Yes, you are coming up with new discoveries. And the pharmacists too, they are also, hey, today we are going to get more drugs. You get it. So problem is defined differently from different academic disciplines. For example, sociology, education, psychology, social pathology, and social work. From the social work perspective, it is when we are having trouble, and due to that, we are not comfortable. Oh my God. Nwabweze Daniela, or what? Please mute your mic. Nwabweze. Okay, fine. Ogala Patricia, mute your mic.
I've done that now.
You have not, madam. I'm sorry. You have not. Let me mute you from here. No, voila. So let's continue. So like I was saying, when you're talking about problem is important for social workers. Problem is important for sociology, for pathologists, because that is where they make their own life. The number of publications you have as a researcher or as a lecturer determines your promotion. That's why we say to ourselves in academics, it's either you publish or you perish. If you don't publish paper, you will not leave that position you are. No promotion for you. So we said it here that from the social work perspective, problem is when we are having trouble, and due to that, we are not comfortable. It's breaking our daily routine work, and we are trying to come out but feel like that is not possible. Then it is considered a problem. A problem has a very wide scope, various extensive literature available on this. Merriam-Webster dictionary denote that it is something that is difficult to deal with, something that is a source of trouble, worry, etc. Social worker, writer of the book, The Social Case Work, a problem-solving process, Ellen Harris Palman, 1957. Create the problem-solving model. She explains in problem-solving model that a social worker helps individual to identify a problem and he or she creates action plan to solve the problem and provide the solution. According to Palman, social work perspective, problems are the unmet need. According to Palman, problems are the unmet need. So when our needs are not met, left the same, and those needs grow as problems. So here our needs and problems have close relations. When you cannot meet your needs, it becomes your problem. In this way, we have to understand common dimensions of problems. Sometimes a problematic situation leads us to face problems. And if problems remain same with no solution, they can lead to critical condition and untimely create vicious circle around us. Duncan, 1945, state that problem arises when a person has specific aim, but he does not know how to achieve it. Is a problem. That's according to Duncan. According to this definition, we can analyze problem as a person who has aim, but does not know the way to achieve it. To Duncan, it is a problem. A problem in common parlance refers to that barrier, interruption, trouble, issue, dilemma, obstacle, complication, and so on. Every organism has problems on this earth. Unlike any animal, we are human beings. We have problems in our day-to-day life. Problems may be different in nature that interrupt our life and development. Problems are widely divided into 3 categories. 1, individual problem, group problem, community problem. And that takes you to what we said, the 3 levels of social work: the micro, the meso, and the macro. So you can see individual problem, group problem, and community problem. Scientific-based solution is needed for all these problems. Scientific-based means systematic and research-based. So now let's look at social problem. We've just talked about problem generally, but when we talk about social problem, anything social is something that is affecting the generality of the society. Anything social. Sorry, I just attended to something. So like I was saying, that anything that is called social is something that is affecting the generality of the society. When I say social problem, for example, can you mention 2 social problems for us in this class? Madam Yusuf Kende, mention 2 social problems in Nigeria.
Kidnapping. Kidnapping.
Ibinabo is your name, Yusuf Kende.
I don't need to wait. We are all attending the class. As the person is wasting time, I have to enter and talk.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're
Kidnapping
welcome,
is a social problem. What about poverty? Is it a social problem?
Insecurity, many of them.
Insecurity is part of kidnapping too. So anything that is affecting the generality of the society is a social problem. And why some issues are tagged as social problem and some are not being seen as social problem? Those that have been solution to it, they have not seen it as social problem, so they don't consider it as social problem. For example, when this man was a speaker in the House of Rep, Dimeji Bankole, who was traveling along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, and there was a terrible accident that his driver died on the spot. And the following week, they started working on that road to repair the road. If nothing like that has not happened to their family members, they will get there. Why some see it as social problem, and why some issues that should have attained that level of social problem are not being seen as social problem, because it has not affected those people who will take decision over it. Thank you very much. So I said social problem is any condition or behavior that has negative consequences for large members of people, and that is generally recognized as a condition or behavior that needs to be addressed. So many problems we are facing in Nigeria that should have received that title of social problem is because it's none of their problem. If you are talking about fuel scarcity, what is fuel scarcity? Is there a problem in fuel scarcity? Because you never see them queuing up at the filling station. So they don't feel it. That's why some of them are taking draconic decisions and policy that are really affecting the generality of the society. But anything that has affected their family members, they will see it as a social problem. Let's continue. This definition has both objective component and subjective component. We are getting there. Subjective component and objective component. Can somebody tell us the difference between objective and subjective? Objective and subjective. Somebody, please. What is between objective and subjective? Nobody in the house?
Objective.
Okay, thank you. Goodness.
I mean, the objective should be something generally accepted, while subjective, not generally accepted. It means it can be criticized.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Adewale, I'm coming. Omolola, I'm coming. Just wait. Well, you are not far from it. Objective is something that is seen by all as where everybody has the same view about it. But when you are talking about subjective, it means that everybody is having different opinion. You get it? You can say from my own point of view, from your own point of view. So we are going to have divergent views that make it subjective. But if it is objective, all of us will see it with one single eye. All of us will see the same thing. For example, if we say 2 + 2 is 4, all over the world it is 4. Don't say in my own opinion. You can't have opinion. It is subjective. That is objective view. When everybody sees it as the same. And when you're talking about objective, that means everybody sees it as problem. But when we talk about subjective, well, to me, I don't see it as a problem. To me, it's a minor problem. To me, you see, that is subjective view. But when it's objective, all of us are seeing it as a problem. So the definition of problem has both objective component and subjective component. To the generality, they might be seeing something as problematic. But the people in power, they may not see it as problem. To them, it is not problem. That is subjective view. Let's go inside it. It's like okay, there was Siwoko Adewale, you wanted to say something.
Yes, I was going to answer the question on what subjective and objectivity and subjectivity is, but I think you've done justice to it, sir.
Okay, Chuku Gozeki, thank you very much, man.
Yes.
Eshima. This definition has both an objective component and subjective component. The objective component is this. For any condition or behavior to be considered a social problem, it must have negative consequences for a larger number of people. It must have negative consequences. That is why we call it social problem. A current example is climate change. Although the overwhelming majority of climate scientists say that climate change, changes in the Earth's climate due to buildup of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere is real and serious. Fewer than 2/3 of Americans, 64% in 2011, polls say they think that global warming is happening. That is when majority accept that there is a problem. This type of dispute points to the subjective component of the definition of social problem. There must be a perception that a condition of behavior needs to be addressed for it to be considered a problem. There must be a perception. If the people there in the position of authority, they don't perceive it, that a condition of behavior needs to be addressed for it to be considered problem, social problem. It is not social problem. They are not perceiving it. It's not needed. We don't need to waste money on that. Though many people are dying. Do you remember how many people have died on that Lagos-Ibadan Express Road before it happened to Dimeji Bankole? But then they didn't see it as problem. They never saw it as one. They didn't see it. But the moment it happened to him, he was following, they started working on the road. So before then, they didn't perceive it as a problem. So this type of dispute points to the subjective component of the definition of social problems. There must be a perception that a condition of behavior needs to be addressed for it to be considered a social problem. This component lies at the heart of the social constructionist view of social problem. In this view, many types of negative condition and behavior exist. Talking about the constructionist, it exists. Many of these are considered sufficiently negative or acquire the status of social problem. Some do not receive this consideration and thus do not become social problem. And some become considered a social problem only if citizens, policymakers, and other parties can call attention to the condition of behavior. We've been crying in Nigeria, but they don't see it. Problem of poverty is not social problem. Even when Baba Yabo was there, Baba Yabo said that never seen anybody that died of hunger on the street of Nigeria. That was a president telling you that there's no poverty in the land. You get it? I can remember when he was the president of Nigeria and he was going to Ota, they will have cleared out the road for him. Immediately he left the office. He was inside Odo along Abeokuta, Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway. He was in the Odo with other people. What they should have done to widen the road and do that, he didn't deem it fit there. It was not a problem. They didn't see it as one. You get it? But it was a social problem. The history of attention given to rape, and sexual assault in the United States before and after the 1970s provide an example of this latter situation. These acts of sexual violence against women have probably occurred from the beginning of humanity, and certainly were very common in the United States before the 1970s. Although men were sometimes arrested and prosecuted for rape and sexual assault, sexual violence was otherwise ignored by legal policymakers and received little attention in college textbooks and the new media and the news media. And many people thought that rape and sexual assault were just something that happened. Thus, although sexual violence exists, it was not considered a social problem. When the contemporary women's movement began in the late 1970s, it soon focused on rape and sexual assault as serious crimes and as manifestation of women's inequality. Thanks to this focus, rape and sexual assault eventually entered the public consciousness. Views of these crimes began to change. The legal policymakers began to give them more attention. In short, sexual violence against women became a social problem. So, before now, it was only existing in the objective, how will I put it now? Like we said, we have both objective and subjective view. It was only existing in the objective view.
No.
But when people now came up, a movement came up, and they saw reason to it, it became a social problem. So it is when you have voice. What happened to those without voice? They want to look at role of social workers in problem solving. Role of social workers in problem solving. Social workers practice in many diverse contexts, and increasingly their job titles are not social workers. What this is saying is that you see many people working in different organizations, and they are social workers, but they are given different, different titles. Not that they say this is a social worker, but if you ask them, they will tell you what they are carrying, their certificate, their qualification. You get it? So you will find social workers in child welfare and mental health agencies working with people with disabilities. Okay, I jumped. I said social workers practice in many diverse contexts, and increasingly their job titles are not social workers, but child protector officer, probation officer, and manager. So you will find social workers in child welfare and mental health agencies working with people with disabilities in juvenile justice, crime prevention and rehabilitation, residential care, aged care, and foster care and adoption. Generally, we talk about social work practice. Generally, we talk about social work practice taking place at various or different levels. And by this, it's meant social workers work with individuals and families. Direct practice, which can be therapeutic or clinical, though this is less likely within a developmental social work model. With group of people, with communities, you can see we are talking about micro, meso, and macro. Two groups of people are advocating on behalf of sectional interests. Change or just policies and practice and achieve a more just and equitable distribution of resources for those whom they serve. Social work is a profession in 21st century's profession. According to a belief that has just emerged, it is like an ashtray container that contains whatever is asked of. And it is like a knapsack on the arm, the bag we carry on the back or shoulder. It gives whatsoever it is asked. That tells you that social work answer whatever question, whatever anything that has to do with human being. So it's like a bag, a knapsack that provide whatever you ask. That is just the description given to social work. Despite many other professions, social work is a profession that committed to solve various individuals, groups, and community problems and bring positive changes in their life. It is a profession that deals with both individuals and society's problems. Professional social work is focused on problem solving and change. Professional social workers always concerned with solution or prevention. And as we know that prevention is better than cure. Professional social workers always concerned with solution or prevention of social problems, such as poverty, unemployment, alcoholism, and drug addiction, and urban slums, etc. They utilize theories of human behavior and social system and intervene at the point where people interact with their environment. There's no problem every individual has. It is a problem with relationship with your environment. What causes problem is your environment, people in your environment, the situation in your environment. So they see how people relate with their environment. They work as change agents in society and in society and lives of individuals and families and communities they serve. So we want to look at social work holistic approach to problem solving. We've talked about this before. Social work holistic approach to problem solving. The problem could be solved at micro level. The problem could be solved at meso level. The problem can as well be solved at macro level. When we have to do with, policy changes, when we have to talk about influencing policy, to better the life of the people in your society. And you can see social workers working at the level of the meso. We talked about that yesterday. Meso level, that was on Sunday. Talk about macro level, we talk about meso level, and we talk about macro level. I believe we still understand that 3 levels of operation in social work. Do you still remember them? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes,
So we said social
Yes,
work holistic approach to solving problems. Working with individuals, that is the micro level. We still need to go through all this, or I should leave it to us to read, because it's more or less, okay, I'm just looking at the time and my battery is draining. Working with individual families and small groups as the client system is often called macro level practice. At this level, social workers engage directly with the client and may be involved in counseling or therapy, referral, you can refer, or direct assistance, for example, in the provision of material aid. The helping process is a partnership which involves the social worker in collaborating or working together with the client. The focus on the client's strength, abilities, and potential competence. I keep repeating that the strength, the abilities, and potential competence of your client is key. That will determine the kind of solution or the therapy you are going to consider. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Who is this person? Please leave us with the greetings. Still at the macro level of practice, a group work approach can be used in helping individuals with common problems. Yes, it is still a macro level, but you can gather people who have similar problems together, and they can come together to learn from one another. They can come together to learn from one another. You get it? There's what we call self-help group, SHG. They can become SHG, self-help group, people that share the same problem. So they can come together and share their ideas, what they have gone through, and they can learn from one another too. It can still be seen as a macro level. A group work approach can be used in helping individuals with common problems to meet their needs. The social worker brings together a group of people who may be able to influence one another through sharing their experiences and knowledge, and who can provide mutual support and encouragement. So that is it. Such group is called SHG, self-help group. People who have similar problems. Like I always tell my students that, if you have 4, 5, 6 people who have a carryover in the same course, you see they always work together to know when there will be test. They will not want to meet with the new student. For example, if a student was carried over in 200 level, they are now in 300 level. You will always be seeing the six of them moving together. They won't want to associate with the existing 200 level. And that thing is killing them because they may not have the information that was passed in the class. Many of them will not even come to class. So you see people with the same problem always coming together. That is the point I'm trying to make. The social worker brings together a group of people who may be able to influence one another through sharing their experiences and knowledge, and who can provide mutual support and encouragement. This group is both the context and means through which its members support and modify their attitude, interpersonal relationships, and abilities to cope effectively with their environment. That is, we are still at the macro, at the micro level. The focus of this group may be on helping members with their individual problems and on enhancing the level of social functioning of its members. For example, helping teenage drug users to change their lifestyle. Other groups may have an educational goal. They are coming together maybe as a result of education. You can see parents, they can come together on how to help their children if their children are not doing well. For example, where parents join a social group, a social work group, in order to improve their parenting skills. When the group work method is used at the micro level, the group becomes the medium through which the individual grows and changes. Then we move to the meso or mid-level practice. Please let me take water. My throat is dry, please. So we are the meso level. We are the meso level. We talk about micro. This level of practice focuses on formal group. Maybe you are being invited to a school, you are being invited to a company. So you are going to address them as a group. That is the meso. It's more than an individual you are treating or you are attending to as a micro level practitioner. This level of practice focuses on formal group and complex organization. This might be associations, groups, self-help groups, social work agencies, schools, prisons, hospitals, business or industry. Complex organization include public and private bodies. It can be a public, it can be a private body. Generally, their purpose is to coordinate people and resources in order to provide products and or services. In working at this level, the focus of change is the group or organization itself rather than individual members. At the micro level, we are trying to change individual. At the meso level, we are trying to change the group. The focus is rather than the change is the group or organization itself rather than focusing on individual members. The social worker may act as a facilitator when you are being invited to such organization. You may act as a facilitator who assists the functioning of the group or organization. This may involve creating or strengthening links among members or the organization. You may look at what is not working well, what is not allowing synergy among the workers. So you may try to look for strengthening the links among the workers, among the members of the organization, facilitating group decision-making and evaluating program. In general, social workers may provide resources such as consulting services, information, education, staff development, service planning, and evaluation. That is working at the meso level. Then when you are working at the macro level, that is when you are talking about policy formulation, policy changes, The macro level refers to communities. The macro level refers to communities and societies, and macro level practice are aimed at social development and change in order to improve people's lives. Is the broadest. You get it, the broadest. The meso is broader, while the macro is the broadest when compared with the micro. You get it. So here, practice at this level reflects social work's values of social justice and its tradition of social reform. He's talking about reforming, social reform. While the philanthropists of the 19th century were concerned with improving and uplifting the lives of the poverty-stricken and powerless in the society. Today, social workers emphasize working in partnership with the oppressed and disenfranchised. You know, some people, they are disenfranchised. They were not allowed to partake of any benefit in the society. Social workers might be involved in such issues as planning and delivery of social services or helping to resolve intergroup conflict in a specific community. They might also be involved in international concerns such as human rights, world poverty, and protection of the environment. When you talk about the issue of ozone layers, that is protection of environment and more like that. The goal of all these activities is the promotion of social justice through community and societal change. Often, social workers need to work their way through the various levels of intervention. I can tell you here, if you have never handled issues at the micro level and you want to jump straight to the macro level, you may not be able to handle it. So it is progressive. Maybe you start at macro, micro, then meso, then you get to the level of macro. Even at this point, the Chartered Institute of Social Work Practitioners of Nigeria should be at the forefront when we are talking about the macro level, because they have the voice to speak with the government, to speak or to comment on whatever the government is doing. As an individual, maybe you've not gotten to that level. You get it? But together, collectively, the Institute of Chartered Institute of Social Work Practitioners of Nigeria can work and do something at this macro level of practice. You get the point? Often social workers need to work their way through the various levels from the macro to the meso and also to the macro, because a problem that starts with the micro at times can degenerate to the macro level. So we are talking about the issue of intervention. As a social worker, you may need to work through all these levels, from the micro to the macro level, in addressing the concern of individuals and groups in the society. Because the problem of an individual can stem from the society. You get it? You may need the solution from the society for the community at large. You may need to get the solution from the community at large. Remember that at whichever level they work, whether with individuals, groups, and communities, problems are defined in relation to the interaction and transaction between people and their environment. Somebody who is having problem of displacement, maybe it's as a result of flood, it is still the environment. Somebody who is having the issue of kidnapping, it is still in the environment. The people who are kidnapping didn't fall from heaven. So this is what we mean by environment. You get it? So it has to do with the problems are defined in relation to the interaction and transaction between people and the environment, drawing on their holistic approach and awareness of both persons and environment. Social workers may help clients and find solutions to their problems from within themselves or from the environmental context or both. So let's look at this example. A woman who has been battered and seek a social worker's help may initially need the help of an individual level in trying to assess our existing situation and plan our future. This may involve the social worker in working with her to help her develop a sense of self-esteem, as well as working with her family or other support network. This is starting from the micro level. In addition, the social worker may organize group of battered women. That is Association of Battered Women. You get it? Association of Battered Women of Nigeria, ABN. You get it? So this social worker may organize groups for battered women to come together and discuss their common problem. It is still at the micro level, but like we said, we can bring in groups so that they can share their experience. Maybe some of them will agree because it is because they have razor mouth, or that is why they receive punches, so they will discuss their experiences. You are still at the macro level. Through this group experience, individuals could gain strength and help one another to deal with their particular situation. They may decide to form a mutual aid or self-help group and could consult with a social worker regarding the focus on educational program. So for them to form this association, it is taking them from that level of micro to meso. They have moved from the level of micro to meso now. Some group could campaign for women's shelter to be established to protect women and give them a refuge. The social worker may at the same time also be involved in empowering women generally to campaign for changes in the law. So it has moved from that micro of dealing with a woman that was seriously beaten by her husband. Now they came together, they form a self-help group, and that become a formal organization, and is trying to raise awareness to make what's it called now? Advocacy. Maybe they should build houses for women, blah, blah, blah. And from that level of meso, it now moved to the level of influencing the law, campaigning for changes in the law. So you can see that simple example move from micro to macro. So changes in the law aim at protecting them from attack by their husband or partner. In the example given here, the social worker uses a holistic approach, move from micro to meso and to what? To macro. Do we understand that? Do you understand that example?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh my
Yes,
God, I love that. I love that. So holistic approach to problem solving. Example, a woman, this is the explanation. A woman who has been abused seeks social work help. That is micro level practice, individual. I just want to explain what you have up there. The individual, e.g., battered woman seeking and receiving help for herself. Then families. Family counseling could include the woman who is being abused, her spouse, her children, and other members of the household or extended family. It is still what? A micro level. Now, small groups. Using group to help individual, e.g. abused women or abused men. You know, it is not only women that they beat, oh. Only that men will not come out and say, my wife, they beat me. Am I saying the truth?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You see. But now only women, they come out, they shout, say, hey, the man don't kill me. The men, women are killing at home will not come out to say that. So we are here, we're talking about small groups, using groups to help individuals, that is abused women or battered women association of Nigeria or battered men association of Nigeria who are abused, children who live in the situation or domestic violence. All those still belong to micro level practice. So by the time they now form association, form group, consulting with a self-help established by battered women to develop a program which will meet their needs, it has left the level of micro to the level of meso. Are we together? Now, when they leave that level of meso, it moves straight to the level of macro level practice, that is dealing with society. And this has to do with changing policies and laws, e.g. laws which affect women. Then also dealing with community, engaging people with common problems in a collective, in struggling from changes in the law and for the allocation of new resources or environmental support, e.g. women's shelter. This has moved to macro level. When social workers intervene at all these levels, we say that they are using integrated approach. When social workers use all these levels from 1 to 2 to 3, from micro to meso, and from meso to what? To macro on a single issue, because the issue we have discussed here is just issue of being battered, which led to the Association of Battered Women of Nigeria, Association of Battered Men of Nigeria. They now formed a former, self-help group that brought us to meso, and still are talking about the same issue. We brought it to the micro level, talking about influencing the policies. Then what that social worker has used, or what social worker has used, is what we call integrated approach. Integrated approach. The term client system is used to show that the client may be an individual or family, a group, or a community. Anytime you mention client system, it is for all at the level of micro, either it is an individual or a group or the entire community. It is known as client system. That is what we mean by client system. The problem-solving process is used at all client system level. You can use micro, meso, and macro. The problem-solving process is used at all client level. So we talk about social problem solving. That is that 6-step stages. You can use it either for individual problem, you can use it at micro level, you can use it at meso level, you can use it at macro level. So that tells you the problem solving model is very, very important and scientific in nature. So here we come as social workers. My God, I don't have time again. As social workers intervene at all these levels, we say that they are using an integrated approach, like we said before. I think we've gone beyond that. As social workers trying to give solution on the basis of scientific theory and method by using social work methods, principles, theories, skills, techniques, tools, and through that, help the individual, group, and communities to improve their lives and lead them good and satisfied life. Thus, we will have to make statements of problem and try to get solutions accordingly. Now, when you're talking, we are trying to solve this problem, you must know what is a problem, how to recognize a problem. This you must have in your head. Why problem arises? What are the root causes for problems? How to quit from this problem? How these problems impact lives of the people? Is problem tried to come out of this problem? Is people trying to come out of these problems? How to get solution to these problems? What are the resources needed to solve this problem? How do social workers actually go about helping people? Because that is one thing we are called to do. The helping process used in social work is guided by problem-solving model. This model provides a systematic, sequential, or step-by-step framework to guide the helping process. The first step in the problem-solving model involves identifying and defining the problem, a troubleshooting situation or event. In order to develop an understanding of it, often the troubleshooting situation, which prompts the client to come for help, referred to as precipitating problem or event. It's not the real problem and it's not the real problem, and the underlying problem situation is only revealed as the situation is explored. Maybe a woman comes to you and says she was battered. The battering is not the problem. It's not the problem. Definitely there are underlying issues that led to that battering. So that's what we are saying here. That what brought the claim to you is not the real problem. The real underlying problem situation is only revealed as the situation is explored more fully. While exploring the problem with the client, the social workers need to develop a warm, accepting relationship. You know, we talk about when we are looking at a crisis intervention, that you must develop a good rapport, because it is only the information you have that you are going to work with. So if your client fails to open up to you, you will fail. So you must develop what we call a warm, accepting relationship within which potential solutions are considered. Possible outcomes and their anticipated consequences are sorry, and a decision is made. Oh my God. I've heard that. You see, I'm using my phone, that's the data. That's why you're hearing that. And a decision is made as to the best course of action to follow in order to reach a solution of the problem. My God, I don't think we are going to finish this class. Now, it empowers them to solve their own problem. Social workers should not impose their values. Do you hear that? Should not impose their values or solution on client. Rather, the client should be involved in the whole process. Since the more the client is involved in solving his or her problem, the more likely it is that the solution arrived at will be workable solution. So don't impose anything on your client. Carry them along and let them be the one that will finally choose the final solution. By following this approach, the social worker is not only helping the client to resolve the particular problem which has been presented, but is also teaching the client a model for problem solving in future. The role of social worker is to recognize that individuals have strengths and competencies or abilities which enables them to direct or take control of their own lives. You are not going to be there for them with them forever. The social worker's aim is to help people become responsible, and this aim is achieved not by exercising power or by being manipulative, but by gently yet firmly. You are gentle, but you are firm. Firmly discussing expectations and goals. This aim is to enable clients to develop their potential competencies so that as individuals, they are able to interact positively with the environment. It is important that rather than adopting an attitude of knowing what is best for the client, the social worker focus on assisting the client to participate in developing alternatives, to make decisions from alternatives, and to implement these decisions. By using a problem-solving approach to helping, social worker aim to ensure that clients are respected and given maximum freedom and autonomy in directing the helping process. Now, what is left here are the processes, the C stages, like we said. The C stages. The first one, problem-solving model, is identify, define, and assess the problem. This is where you come to understand the problem. In this first step of the problem-solving process, the social worker enables clients to tell their story. This involves helping clients to describe their problems in terms of their current experiences, feelings, and thoughts. It helps to clarify all aspects of the problem situation, including who else is involved and which aspect of the social environment are important. It is also important at this stage to be clear about who specifically is involved in any particular aspect of the problem situation. Who owns the problem? That is the first one. Identify, define, and assess the problem. I told you 6 steps. Then the next one is both the persons and the broader social context. Both the person and the broader social context of the problem must be considered, and the problem should be defined in terms of the interaction between the person and the social environment. The focus of the problem identification should be client system strength and competencies, and the social workers and the client need to arrive at a mutually agreed upon definition of the problem. Yes. The social workers need to use skills of attentive listening. We've talked about all these skills before now. Clarification and reflection of feelings to help the client develop their definition or understanding of his or her situation. The following is an example of interaction between a social worker and a client. Let us call her Susanna. I want to show you an example. As they work together or towards defining the client's problem. So let's look at this Susanna problem. Now let's look at it. Susanna burst into tears as she tells the social worker that her husband has left her and she has no money to buy food for her children. The social worker responds by saying, "You are feeling heartbroken and lost because your husband has left you and you don't know who to turn to for help." That is your own contribution, just to show that you understand what your client is talking about. This kind of response shows the client that the social worker is trying to understand the problem situation from the client's point of view. You see, when Susanna tells the social worker that her husband has left her and she has no money to buy food for her children, the social worker responds by saying, "You are feeling heartbroken and lost because your husband has lost you, because your husband has left you and you don't know who to turn to for help." So that shows the client that the social worker understood. This kind of response shows the client that the social worker is trying to understand the problem situation from the client's point of view. The social worker's ability to perceive and communicate accurately and with sensitivity the feelings of the client and the meaning of those feelings is termed accurate empathy. Because you have empathized clearly, you have, what you said is what actually the client is going through. And that is called accurate empathy. We talk about empathy on Sunday. Together with warmth, you show her warmth, that is acceptance, liking, commitment, and unconditional regard, that is warmth. And genuineness, what made up the genuineness is openness, spontaneity, and sincerity. These are the skills necessary for developing helping relationship, according to Fisher 1978, page 329. Successful relationship building helps to establish mutual trust and confidence and an environment that is conducive to change. It is important that the client and social worker work together to understand the nature of the problem and how best to reduce its impact. This impact of this aspect of helping process is often referred to as assessment. It's assessment. It consists of 3 things: an appraisal of the situation, an evaluation of the client's ability to deal with the situation, that talk about the competence, and thirdly, a definition of the problem. Now we've dealt with number 1. Number 2 is consider possible solution. Consider possible solutions. I'm going to paraphrase this. After the claims that I've explained to you, you now consider many solutions. Consider possible solutions. After considering many, you tell your client the pros and cons of each of them. Then you go straight to choose an alternative. Your client will choose. You are not the one that will choose for your client. Then an alternative has been chosen. Then after that, number 4, identify a solution and develop a plan of action. Now, you have chosen an alternative, you have identified the solution, then you create an action plan. action plan, which will be done by your client step by step. And he or she will be replying back to you, will be reporting back to you. You monitor, like task theory, we talk about task practice, we talk the other time. Identify a solution and develop a plan of action. You get it? After identifying that, then the next thing is implementation of plan of action. You have identified, so it will be implemented. It is your client that will implement it. You follow up. After the implementation, you come to evaluation. Has it been effective? Even if it is not effective, you accept that as a social worker, then we think of another plan. It can start all over. It is crucial to evaluate both the process and the outcome of the problem solving which has taken place. Social workers have to be accountable for what they do, and it is obviously important to assess whether the outcome has been helpful. That is, whether the problem-solving process has helped to resolve or change the client's problem situation. However, even if the outcome goals were not achieved, it is important to evaluate why the goal were not accomplished. You get it? You still need to accomplish, to evaluate why was it not, and how to avoid similar mistake in the future. So you as a social worker, you learn from that and you avoid such pitfall in the future. This evaluation of problem-solving process helps the social worker to assess the experience from the client perspective and occur continuously throughout the process. Now, this is a task. It's just a task for you, think about the holistic integrated approach of social work and its method of problem solving, and apply this to the problem of street children. If you look at the problem of street children, you may start with a child first, then you bring together, I'm already solving the problem for you. Now you have to use, I'm not going to solve it. Use this holistic approach to solve the problem of what? Street children. Do that. And let me, how are you going to do that for me, sir? Use that holistic approach to address this issue of street children. Then, I'm not sure I'm going to meet on Saturday morning because I've already completed my class. This is just the last page. Social work conclusion. Social work was very strong. Social work has very strong base because it is born and brought up in the society only. International practices, so interventional practices in social work are very important. That is macro, meso, and micro practice. With this method, social workers intervene at big, medium, and small level. They use counseling, research, and teaching, and make policy, administration, and supervision. Today, social work profession assists individual families, groups, and communities, organizations, and societies in wide. They are helping people overcoming their social, economic, and political, emotional, and psychological problems in nature. And social work has a wide scope. Where there is problem, there is need of social work intervention. Thank you so much. The Lord bless you. I think I've been able to come to the end of this class. My battery is very low. If anybody, one person or two, has anything to say, I can attend to it before I draw the curtain. Already this is 2:55. We have spent our time wisely.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, madam.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Thanks
you,
a
sir.
million. Thank you too for your cooperation.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.
I'm hearing, who is that? Olayemi Adebi.
Yes, yes.
You want me to send my account number
That
to you? I
one
know
that
that's
you
what you
just
want to
said.
say.
No, no, no. What do you say?
I said, you want me to send my account number to you? That's all you are talking.
No, I want to ask that one that you just said that we should use holistic approach or integrated approach to solve a school problem. Is it homework?
You are at home now. You are not doing it in the class. So do it and let me see what you are going to get out of it.
I didn't
You
get
know the problem
very
now.
well.
No,
I didn't get
the question
question.
is there, madam. The question is there.
Okay.
The question is there. Look at it. If you look at it before that conclusion, I said task. Look under the task. think about the
Okay.
holistic integrated approach of social work and its
Okay, that
method
we
of
can use to
problem
solve that
solving,
problem. Okay.
and apply this to the problem of street children. You get it?
Okay. Yes,
Apply
I
to
got
the,
it, sir.
yeah. So that is it.
Okay,
And the
thank
steps
you.
to follow are even there. So I've already solved the problem there. But you can do that. Don't bother to write it down, but just try and see if you understand the problem using the holistic approach. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much
We
for your
appreciate you, sir.
cooperation too. Thank you for your cooperation too. Thank you for
We
your
just
cooperation
Area of
too.
concentration.
No, AOC simply means area of confusion. And I don't give my students confusion. I hate confusing my students.
Mm.
Also, can we get past questions to Ria's?
It is not me that will say the question. The question is being said by the institute, and it is online exam, so I don't have past question.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. God bless you. Enjoy your work from tomorrow. Yeah, bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Chaplain.
Yeah.